Hi guys and welcome to Motorskati. Yet again with another update on my dashboard that's still not finished the building kit, but whatever, here we go. So here's my dashboard. It sort of looks like it has regressed from the last stage, but no, that's just only because I'm about to paint it. Just giving you an update on why it took so long. There has been a lot of sanding, a lot of filling, a lot of adjusting. I got the speaker grills from Hawks, the reproduction. I still need to kind of make sure, like I had to trim in a lot here just to get it down and trim all the little bits and pieces behind this grill to put it in to have a good recess, so it would barely stick out. Once everything is painted, I will glue them in, and then a big chunk of work was this voice box bezel, because the way I have it now, you know, it's recessed, it's going in and not sitting on top. So in the very early stages when I started working on the dash, I took a Dremel and just cut out and ended up cutting out too much, which I then painstakingly had to refill with Bondo, with fiberglass Bondo. And this is where my voice box is, and obviously all the back of the dashboard to hold all the electronics. That took a lot of time, just making all the bracketry for the monitors, for the screens. I'll let you have a look behind the dashboard in just a second. And now I'm at a stage where, like, I've sanded down with 400 grit paper most of it. Like, obviously here I had to go back and refill like this. I just did this today because I found another little hole. So there've been plenty of little holes in behind or down underneath that you would actually never see when you just have the dashboard in. But I just wanted to get everything nice and flush. Like, you even discovered here little indentation again that I just filled in today. I'm gonna have to sand down smoothly. And then loads of little pieces. And as you can see, I also put in the side vents, which you would have on a standard fibered dash that I also bought from Hawks. And instead of just plugging it in, because in the original dashboard that's soft and it's kind of just sticks in because it's foam, but here it's all hard, it's fiberglass. So I just make cutouts and put that in and glued that in, and now I'm just sanding smoothly everything so that when I paint it, it's nice and flush, and there's as much as possible no big borders or lines. I've drilled out the holes to attach it to the car, and then here with the countdown I've finally decided to just glue in the whole countdown section and just tape off the front. I'm gonna have to cut this, like, make this nicer here. So I will actually sand this also slightly just to prime and paint this entire section as once, so this will have the same color as the dash. I'm not going to paint the bezel. I think I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm just going to make a bigger mess if I start painting that. But I will not glue it in either. I'm just going to put it in like so, and it's very, you know, it's quite flush, it's hard, but I can still take it out with my hand if I want to. Holes here for the switch butt mount for the bolts, which the switch butt will be a project on its own afterwards. Everything will be set up properly with the soundboards for the switchboard and some other gadgets. I'm going to go into all the gadgets once everything is painted and mounted, so that you understand when it's wired what's what. So let me flip the dash around so you can see what it is on the other side. Oh yeah, while I'm here, just for you to understand, you know, you have the RPM board, you have the 6-row dummy board here, and then you have the 2 screens here. And because I kind of hand redid everything here, and it doesn't accommodate the KRW screen bezel anymore that I originally wanted to put in. I made my own bezel, which is over there, but I ended up having quite a bit of a gap here. And then I decided, well, hey, why don't use this gap and make a plexiglass, like a tinted plexiglass stripe, and put in some warning lights that are not included in the standard functions of the ideegeniali electronics, which is a light for the parking brake, a light for the seat belt not on, and a light for the service engine soon, which is something that comes in really handy if the service engine soon light would be on usually, and then you have the KITT electronics and you don't know if there's an issue or what or how to read the fault code if you have one. So I ended up making this, not this, this here, which is actually going to come in between here. Basically will be this large, and then this will be just tinted like that, and there will be colored LED lights in behind for the 3 warning lights for park, service engine soon, and seatbelt. And I have to make everything custom. So I once bought a whole bag or a whole box of those plugs that you use on the standard dashboard, the standard gauge cluster where you put in the little light bulbs in behind where you just turn and click. And I have loads of them, and I was thinking, well, might as well just use them. And so I'm making out of the same plexiglass a setup here to put the lights in here. That's not finished, you'll see when it's finished. And then I will have colored light bulbs, LEDs in yellow and red, and use my probably my P-Touch, my labeler with transparent tape to put on like P and SAS and seatbelt or something on here, and make separation walls that are painted so the light doesn't swap over to the next compartment. So I will have my warning light. When it's off, it's just black and dark. You know, black like the actual frame. Let me get this for a second. Everything fits. I've just taken it off now as I'm getting ready to paint the whole thing. And this is where, this is my frame. I don't remember if I've shown it to you in a previous video. Let me just put the phone down for a second. So this is my screen frame, which is exactly cut out to the size of my screen, so there will be no gaps. Like, this is exactly cut out, and it will stay glossy on the outside, and on the inside I will just sand it lightly and paint it from the inside so that, you know, it's just dark and you can't see what's in behind and all the wires and stuff. And that's going here, and there's just this little gap where this bit here, which is the same material as that, will be next to it, and when it's all off, it will just be one big glossy, dark black glossy part, and you won't actually see or really notice that there's something else here. That was my idea, and this whole contraption took me forever to build. Every single piece here is made of the same material. These are made to hold in the screens with the, how do you say, just the shape of the screen. It clicks in like this, and this border goes over it and holds it in place, and all the place. Like, it took me, you know, everything has taken me so long to build, not because it necessarily takes a lot of time to build, just because I also didn't have time to spend consistently on building this dash, but I just had a few hours every once in a while, and by having all these big breaks or pauses in between gave me the chance to reflect on what I had to do and what I could do, and just to improve my design and to or change my design and hopefully improve it. By now I'm very happy with what I have. Initially I wanted to create vents that come out here, but I just don't think that it's a good looking element. I'm actually quite happy with just having, obviously I'm going to have the top one in the front, and here the side ones, and the ones down here, it'll still come out, like half of it will still kind of blow out here on the side. Same thing goes for the right side here, so I'm okay with that. And for the middle section of the vent that you have in the car, so what I'm going to do is instead of just, you know, I won't necessarily do anything for the air to come out here, but I will just redirect it down. So on the actual car, I will just also use a bit of that plexiglass and make a little, like a roof that will just glue onto the vent coming out and just slant it down like 45 degrees. So it's behind the screens, it's behind all the electronics here, and it will just push the air down to the radio and the gear lever, but also so that it doesn't blow directly into the electronics, because what happens that if you have cold air then in the summer blowing to the hot electronics, it will create condensation, and it might break the electronics, it might harm it. So I don't want that. I will still have the air to flow around, but it won't directly go in, get in contact with it won't blow directly towards the, or onto the electronics. Now moving on to the inside, to the back part of it. As I said, I glued in the countdown. Then the voice box is basically also just sitting in there, held in by these brackets that are, I put some, like everywhere, I put some heat shrink on the brackets so it would be a bit rubberized, so it wouldn't scratch whatever I put on there. Speedo board, because there's so less material on all of these sides here to actually put screws in, and I decided everything is just held in by screws on the top side, or should I say the lower side, because now it's on the upside down, and on the opposite side it's held is by these aluminum rectangular pieces with some heat shrink on top. It's just holding it like this, screwed in like that, doesn't move. Same thing goes for here, for the RPM board, 6-row board, like several brackets you can just slide in like so, and then you put the bolts on top. And the same thing for the frame, held in like this. Here side bits also, because this is where the long ones that hold in, the long stripes that hold in the screens will be stuck in there and won't be able to move. You'll understand it better once it's in. And for the PA and P button and the 3-row, or P and P and the 3 rows, that's one piece. I mean, it's three separate sets of electronics, but it's one overlay for ideegeniali, so that makes it easy to align everything and put it in as one. Here we have my soundboard, so not the soundboard itself, like it's just a placement, a little board for the soundboards that will be screwed in like so. It's taped off. This is where the relay goes for the ideegeniali electronics. And yeah, that's basically it. I'm almost ready to paint. It doesn't look like much now, but getting there has been a huge amount of work, and I'm still not done. But I want to paint within the next few days at least. You know, I need to prime it, set it into the car, see if everything fits, and I can still change and what do you say, sand down a few bits when it's only just primed, and then before I paint it needs to fit in the car properly, and then it can go in. One other thing that I wanted to show you is that before the electronics actually gets into the car and wired up, I want to calibrate this board. The speedo board and the RPM board can be calibrated for speed and for the RPMs, because I've seen with several different friends that, but they don't have ideegeniali, they have ZA, that like they can adjust also like the water temperature and all that. Specifically the water temperature, and for one also the speed has been off a bit compared to what they think they will actually have, and they found out that it was actually off. And with the ideegeniali you can only adjust the speed and the RPMs, but what I will do is I will connect with wires the speedo board and the RPM board to the original car, well, to the car with the original gauges are still intact in there, so I can compare. And then you have a little here, you can calibrate, oh yeah, the fuel gauge as well. You can calibrate the fuel gauge, you can calibrate the speed gauge or the speed readout with a little screwdriver. You can turn left or right this to adjust it to what it actually is, and the same thing goes for the RPM board. So I'll need to be doing that before this goes in, so it does actually read the proper speed, fuel level, and also rounds per minute or revolutions per minute. Alright guys, I just felt the need to make a quick little update video. I know it's always a few months in between takes, and it doesn't look like it's really going anywhere, but it really is. And I also need to put in 2 wires into the car, which I just bought. Like last time I did the initial setup with the accessory battery, I didn't have enough wires, and until now everything is ready. So that'll go in, and I'm not going to give you a deadline when it's going to be finished, because so far I have missed every single deadline that I set myself to finish this dashboard. But I'm on it several times a week and I'm getting it done now. See you soon.